All right. Well, I was actually planning on doing an overnighter this weekend, but my hunting partner wasn't feeling good yesterday, so I just stayed home, and I've come out this morning, almost first thing, not quite first thing. The sun's still coming up. It hasn't even crested the next ridge over, so it's maybe just after 7, something like that. But I wanted to talk about situational awareness. So this will be part 3. Um, Situational awareness is basically being aware of your surroundings, knowing what's out there. And this is an everyday thing, situational awareness in town, you're doing it all the time, or at least you should be, look both ways before you cross the street, stuff like that. Out in the woods, it applies to potential dangers, whether it be getting a rock in your sandal to, walking up on a mother bear and her cubs. I kind of talked about that in my last video where I had the big mud puddle in the road and I was looking at the tracks. But, being aware of, where, say, wasps or hornets make their nests, being aware of the poisonous plants around you, or useful plants around you too. You can have poison ivy growing right next to, say, a pine tree or a white oak, which both those trees have edible and medicinal values. But you've also got that, possible aggravation plant there causing you to itch if you're allergic to it. And poison ivy, for example, is real easy to identify. Poison ivy, poison oak, because of the whole leads to 3 thing. I'm not going to go into that. There's plenty of videos on it out there. But poison ivy was something I had to learn about when I first moved down to Missouri, because we had it up in Washington, but I never really saw it. I knew about it, but whoops, rock. But I never encountered it myself. I heard about someone who had used poison ivy as toilet paper, and it was not a good story. My mom used to go up into the Cascades up on the Crest Trail, and she knew someone who used it, and it was a woman, so she got it really bad. Kind of a front and back situation. But anyways, it's just about being aware of your surroundings, being aware of hazards and aids. We'll call it that. Hazards and aids. Things that can help you, things that can harm you. So, signs, direction signs, in urban environments, and there's similar signs out in the woods too, like that big mud puddle being a signpost of what's out there. Being aware of tracks, and game trails. They can take you to bad places and good places if you know how to read them. Reading the directions of tracks, if if you do find a bear track, the claws are going to be pointed the way it went, so that it went that way, you're going that way, so you should be fine. Just stuff like that. It's just, do your research and be aware of your surroundings, and that's every day. That's an everyday thing, and when you stop doing that, that's usually when you run into problems. Like, you're walking along and, you're maybe kind of get relaxed, and then all of a sudden, you're like, man, I really miss my music. Put your earbuds in, and a mile down the trail, you end up walking into a bear with her cubs. It happens. So it's something to be aware of. I'm not saying don't listen to music out on the trail. I'm just, don't sacrifice your safety, kind of thing. Anyways, I'm gonna call it on that. It's something that I've really practiced. Another thing about situation awareness, just one last deal, is if you're aware of things, you'll notice stuff like this. This is a trail blaze. I'm not talking about this green mark that's been put on by the forestry department for whatever reason. I don't do that. But this is a trail marker. Now, if you really know what you're doing, you can make you can disguise it as a deer rubbing, but you can follow and find other people's trail markers. Right over here, there's a place in the road right there where a tire spun out. So I know that people have been here, and by the direction that the dirt was kicked, I can tell that they came up the trail over there. You know, not down, it went up, so that was on the way out. So I'm probably not going to run into anybody here. And that does look like a fairly fresh track, but it was like an ATV. So anyways, you know, learn how to read your environment. Anyways, that's pretty much that.